Good evening, Paris. Good evening, Tanya. Good evening, everyone. Is the screen visible to everyone? Okay, Sayali. Okay, Paris. Okay, Soumya Jyoti. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so today we are starting something very important for your bioinformatics journey, and that is Linux. So, if you want to grow, if you want to build a career in bioinformatics, whether it's in research or it's in industry or even internships, so you cannot avoid Linux. So, it's not optional, it's a major core skill. So in bioinformatics, what happens that we don't deal with small files. We work with large files. We work with DNA sequences. We work with RNA sequencing data. We work with protein data. So the size of these data, it is very huge. If you think about, for example, only one sequencing experiment, we are talking about only one sequencing experiment. So one sequencing experiment can generate 10 GB or 50 GB or even 100 plus GB of data. So in reality, we are actually talking about 100 plus GB of data. Now, can you open this huge data in Excel, in MS Word, or can you just manually click anywhere and just analyze it? So we cannot do it. So it's impossible to do this with this huge data. We are talking about 100 plus GB of data. So that is where Linux comes in. To analyze this huge data, we use tools. We use bioinformatics tools. For example, BLAST. So if you know that BLAST is used to compare sequences, so it is a bioinformatics tool. Here we have another tool, BWA, to align the DNA reads. We have SAM tools, it is another bioinformatics tool to process the sequencing data. We have GATK tool. If we want to find mutations, we use this tool. So these tools, they are not like normal apps. They don't have any fancy buttons. They don't open like software where you can just double click and just open it. So instead, they run using commands. And these commands, they are executed in Linux environment. So almost all the bioinformatics tools, they run on the Linux environment. Now, why specifically Linux? We just said that all the bioinformatics tools, they run on Linux. But why specifically Linux? So there are three main reasons for that. So the first reason is that Linux handles the large data very efficiently. So Linux, it is designed to process the large files. It can use the memory efficiently. It runs the long analysis without crashing. So that's why research labs and companies use Linux. The second major reason for using Linux, this reason is very important, that is automation. So let's take an example first. So let's say that you analyze one sample manually. Okay, you had one sample and you wanted to analyze it, and you performed all the steps for it. For example, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then the output. Okay, so you had one sample and you analyzed it and you performed these certain steps. Now you have 100 samples. Now you don't have a single sample, you have 100 samples. Now will you repeat everything manually 100 times, the same steps? Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the output. The same steps you performed for sample 1 to analyze the sample 1. Now will you repeat these same steps manually 100 times because you want to analyze 100 samples? So that is not a practical approach, right? You cannot do this manually 100 times. For example, if you have 1000 samples, now you cannot do these for 100 times, right? So in Linux, you can just write the command once and it will automate the entire workflow. So this is called reproducible research. So this second reason is the main very important reason of using Linux. The third reason is the industry standard. So if we talk about the real life scenarios, the research labs, they use Linux servers. Companies, they use cloud platforms which are Linux based. They use supercomputers, HPC, which also run on Linux. So if you don't know Linux, you are not job ready. But if you know Linux, you are job ready. Okay, so if you don't know Linux, you will struggle in the real environments later. So in this program, we are not learning the Linux as a subject. We will be learning it as a tool to do real bioinformatics. And once you are comfortable with the Linux, you can work with real datasets, you can run real tools, you can build real projects. So now that we understand why Linux is important, let's start from the very basics. What is Linux actually? So Linux is an operating system. What is Linux? Linux is an operating system. Now, first of all, what do we understand by the term operating system? For example, you have a computer. Okay, what is a computer? It is a hardware. Okay, what is hardware? The CPU, the RAM, the hard disk. Okay, you have a computer, you have a hardware. Now, can you directly tell the CPU that open this file and run this program? Can you just directly talk with the CPU, tell the CPU, give instructions to the CPU that I want to open this specific file and I want to run this program? You cannot directly talk with the CPU, right? Because it's a hardware and it only understands the binary language. So what is binary language? The language of computer, the language of 0 and 1. So if we understood the binary language, we could have just directly talked with the CPU, but we don't know binary language. Okay, so now what is an operating system? Operating system, it is a software that acts like a translator between you and the hardware. Just as we have understood now that we cannot directly talk with the hardware, we cannot directly talk with the CPU because they understand binary language and we don't speak binary language. We speak English, we speak Hindi, we speak another languages. So that is where we use operating system to talk with the computer. Okay, so operating system is a software that acts like a translator between you and the hardware. Now, for example, you are using Windows. Some of you are using Windows, some of you are using Mac. If I say that Windows is an operating system, so what do you understand by that? Can anyone answer? If I say that Windows is an operating system, Mac is an operating system, so what do you understand by this? We just understood the term operating system. Can anyone tell me what do you understand by this line that Windows and Mac is an operating system? Anyone? Okay, very good, Paras. What about other students? Do you understand the term operating system? That if we want to talk to the computer, we use an operating system, because inside computer, what is it? We have CPU, we have memory, we have RAM, all the hardware. We cannot directly give instruction to the CPU because they understand the binary language, the language of computer. If we have known the binary language, we could have just directly talked with the computer, but we don't know binary language. So that is where we are using operating system. So Windows and Mac, they are an example of the operating system. So without an operating system, your computer cannot function. So what we understood, that what is an operating system? If we want to talk to the hardware, the CPU, memory, disk, if we want to run programs, if we want to manage files, we use an operating system. And just like Windows, Linux is an operating system. So in Windows, what we do, we just click icons, we just use mouse, we use our keyboard, but in Linux, we mostly type commands. So just as I said that in Windows, we can click icons, we can use buttons. So that is called graphical user interface. Okay, what is GUI? It is graphical user interface. Means we are using mouse, we are using icons, we are using buttons, we are using menus. All of you use computers, all of you have used Windows. So what are you doing? You are using GUI. Okay, means you are interacting with your computer using the GUI. Here you can see this example. Here you can just click anywhere. For example, if you want to open this file, you will just click here. You have the mouse, you have the keyboard. Okay, so in Windows, Windows is an operating system, and to interact with the computer, you are using a Windows operating system in which you use GUI, means graphical user interface. I will give you 2 minutes of time to read this para here so that you can understand more what is GUI. Okay, read this para here and let me know in the chat box if you are done. Okay, I will just read it for you. So in Windows, we uses GUI, means graphical user interface. So almost everything can be done using the mouse clicks on icons, buttons, or combination of keys on the keyboard. So what are we doing here? Everything is visual. As we can see, everything is visual and everything is clickable. We can just click anywhere. So that is GUI. Okay, we are understanding Linux, but to understand Linux, we are understanding something that we are already familiar with. So we are already familiar with Windows. Now we are understanding that Windows is an operating system, and in Windows we use GUI to interact with the computer. But in Linux, we use CLI. Okay, in Windows we use GUI, in Linux we use CLI. So what is this GUI and CLI? How we are interacting with the computer. Okay, so in Linux we use CLI, means command line interface. So what is CLI? That we are interacting with the computer using the text commands. So instead of just clicking a folder, you type a command to open the folder. Okay, so instead of opening the files visually, everything here is done by typing the instructions, means typing the commands. So are we understanding that Linux is an operating system just like Windows? The only difference is that in Windows, we are using GUI, and in Linux, we are using CLI. It is just the difference of how we are interacting with the computer. Is it clear? Do we have any confusion till here? Is there any confusion? Okay, very good Saptak, very good Paras, very good Soumya Jyoti. Okay, so let's do a little quick revision of what we have learned till now. So we will just start with an example again. For example, you open your laptop and you want to open a file, you want to see your data, and you want to run a bioinformatics tool. Now the question is, how does your computer understand that what you want? You want to open a file, you want to see your data, you want to run a bioinformatics tool, but how does your computer understand what you want? Because you speak English, but the computer understands the binary language, the language of 0 and 1. So how does this communication happens? So this is where the operating system comes in. So operating system, what is it? It is a translator. So the flow becomes you, the operating system, and the hardware. Because you give the instructions, the operating system understands it, and the operating system tells the hardware what to do, because you cannot directly talk with the hardware, so you use an operating system. Okay, so without an operating system you cannot use a computer at all. Now Linux is an operating system, just like Windows is an operating system, Mac is an operating system. So Linux is an operating system. Linux is just one type of operating system. So when we say that we are using Linux, it simply means that we are just using a different type of operating system to talk to the computer. So the only difference is here, if we are using the Windows operating system, so what would be the answer here? It would be have written GUI here. So the flow becomes U, GUI, Windows operating system, and the hardware. But we are using Linux, so the flow will become U, CLI, Linux operating system, and then the hardware. Okay. Now let's go a little deeper inside this operating system. So we are understanding that Linux is an operating system because we want to talk to the computer. But Linux, it is not a single thing. Okay, Linux has multiple components. And the two major components that the Linux has is shell and kernel. Okay, shell and kernel are the two major components of Linux. So first of all, let's understand about this kernel. So kernel is a part of a Linux, just like shell is a part of Linux. Okay. So kernel, it is the heart of the operating system. You can say it is the brain of the operating system. Okay. Kernel here, it controls the CPU, it manages the memory, it talks to the hardware. So the important part here is you cannot directly talk to the kernel. Just like you cannot directly talk with the hardware, in the same way, you cannot directly talk with the kernel. And we just learned here that kernel is the heart of the operating system. It is the brain of the operating system because it controls the CPU. It talks to the hardware. So, if we cannot directly talk with the kernel, we just learned that in Linux, we type the commands, right? If we want to take some work from our computer, in Linux, we type the command. So if kernel is the one that is managing everything and we cannot directly talk with the kernel, so where we will type the commands? How we can make kernel understand our commands? We will type the command. So how will kernel understand it? Because we cannot directly talk with the kernel. So that is where we use shell. Okay, so when we give commands, shell is the one that understands it. Just like here we talked that operating system is a translator between you and the hardware. Here in the same way, shell is the translator between you and the kernel and then the hardware. So when you type the commands, so shell is the communicator, shell is the translator that understands your command. So the flow becomes like this. Now where do you type your commands? You type your commands in the terminal. Okay, let's open our terminal and let's understand this shell and kernel in a practical way. So let's open our terminal. Okay, so this is the terminal. This black screen that you are seeing, this is the terminal. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay, so you understand that in this terminal, we type the command. So let's take a very simple example. I'm going to write a very simple command, ls. So ls here, it is a very simple command. So here we are writing this command. We understand that we write the commands in the terminal, and this black screen here, it is called terminal. Now you have written the command, you have written the instruction. So what is this command about? ls, it means list, means I want to see all the files, all the folders in my system. So if we want to see all the folders, all the files in a system, we type the command ls. Okay, ls stands for list all the files. Okay, so we understand this command ls. Now, here we have typed this command ls. So shell is the one that will read this command. Shell is the one that will understand this command, and shell will send this command to the kernel. Okay, and then kernel will check all the files from the disk, because what command we have written? ls, that we want to list all the files, all the folders of our system, in our system. So shell here, it will understand this command, it will send this command to the kernel, and kernel will check all the files from the disk, and it will list me all my files and my folder. Okay, because we understand that kernel controls the CPU, kernel talks the hardware. So in reality, what are we doing? We are giving an instruction to the computer using the Linux operating system, and inside the Linux we have two components, shell and kernel. Okay, now let's press enter. So here what are we seeing? We are seeing our output. So this here, this is a one complete journey of this command. First of all, shell will read it, shell will understand it, shell will send it to the kernel, and kernel then will give us the output. So this is a one complete journey of a command. Now, let's look at here. You are seeing something written here, this text. Can you see this text? Can you see that some text is written here? Okay, so I just said that shell is the one that is reading your commands. But where exactly is this shell? We just said that shell is the one that is reading your command, understanding your command, and sends this command to the kernel. But where is this shell? So this text here that you are seeing, again, this is the same text here. Again, this is the same text here. So this text here that you are seeing here, it is not just a random text. This itself is a proof that the shell is running. Okay, the shell is already running inside the terminal, and this is the proof. So the shell is the program that is showing you this prompt. Okay, so this prompt, it is controlled by shell. So here you might be seeing this cursor here. Can you see this cursor here? So this means that the shell is waiting for you to type your command. Here you wrote a command and shell executed this command. Okay, I mean kernel executed it, but shell is the one that understood this command and send it to the kernel. But here now shell is waiting for you to write the command, and it is waiting to execute the command. Okay, so this prompt here that you are seeing, it is controlled by the shell. Now, listen to this very carefully, that there are different types of shell. Okay, there are different types of shell. And the shell that we are using is bash. You might have heard of the word bash in Linux. So the shell that we are using in Linux is the bash. Okay, there are different types of shell, and the type of the shell that we are using is bash. So bash here is the default shell. Means whenever you install Linux, whenever you open your terminal, so bash is the default one. Okay, it is already set up in your Linux. So if you want to use some different kind of shell, you have to change it manually. Okay, so in bioinformatics, we majorly use bash, which is a type of a shell. Are we clear with this point? Are we clear with bash, shell, and kernel? Okay, I will just share you one experience of mine when I was new in this industry. So I had one interview, and the interviewer asked me one question, that in Linux, what do you use? Do you use shell or do you use bash? So if you know the answer, the question is very simple. But here the interviewer asked me in a very tricky way, that in Linux, what do you use? Do you use shell or do you use bash? So I knew the answer, that bash is a type of the shell. So I answered it correctly. Okay, so interviewer asks you these kind of questions, and these questions are very basic. Just as you have heard from my experience, my past experience, that this question was very easy. But if you didn't know the answer, the basic, that bash is a type of a shell, and if you have answered it wrong, you just didn't know, that you just got rejected. So are we understanding that how important the basics are? So for here now we are learning about the Linux foundations. Paras, what do you want me to repeat? Paras, what do you want me to repeat? Sayali, there are different types of shell, like there is SH shell, there is ZSH, there is CSH, TSH. Okay, so there are different kinds of shell, they are used for different purposes. But in bioinformatics, we majorly use bash, and bash is already the default one in Linux. Okay, so whenever you install Linux, so bash is already the default. Okay. Yes, Paras, we are getting to that point. Are we clear till here? What is bash, what is shell, and what is kernel? Okay, so if we want to check that what kind of shell we are using, we can also type a command here. So if I type the command echo, and here this dollar sign, and here I'm writing shell. So just as I said that we are using bash, which is the type of the shell. But if we want to see, if we want to print in our terminal that which shell are we using, we will just type this command. Okay, also notice here that Linux is case sensitive. And by case sensitive, we mean that you have to type this command exactly this way. For example, here I have written shell in all in the capital letters. So if you write small letters, you might get different output. Okay, so here you have to write the exact name of the command, the exact name of your files. For example, here these are the file names. So if I want to open this file, you can see there is F capital, this small, Q and C capital. So if I want to open this file, I have to write exactly like this. Okay, otherwise you will get an error. Okay, so we are clear that Linux is case sensitive. Now let's press enter. So here what are we seeing? We are seeing bash. Can we see bash here in our output, that the kind of shell we are using is bash? Means we are currently using the bash shell. So here we understood that this prompt here is controlled by the shell. So it is called shell prompt. Okay, what is it called? It is called shell prompt. So here this shell prompt, it tells you who you are, where you are, and what are your permissions. Okay, this shell prompt here, it tells you that who you are, where you are in the system, and what are your permissions. So first of all, let's look at here, from here till here. So here, from P till U. Okay, so this is called the username. So here the shell prompt is telling you who you are. So this is the username, means the current user that is logged in the system. So in my case, I have this username. Okay, I wrote this username myself, just like we write our username on Instagram IDs, on Facebook IDs. In the same way, we write this username ourselves. Okay, then we have this at the rate. So here at the rate, it just act as a separator. Means here it is separating the username and the host name. So here that you are seeing this, it is the host name, and by host name we mean the computer name, that this is the user and this is the computer name. So every system has a name. The name of my system is this. Okay, the name of my computer is this here. Now again you are seeing colon here, so again it is just acting like a separator here. Now look at this symbol. This is a very important symbol here. So this symbol here, it means that you are in the home directory. Where you are in the home directory. We will understand this about this home directory, where is it, what it is. But for now, just understand that the symbol here, it represents that you are inside the home directory. So instead of showing you the full path that where you are in the system, here this shell prompt just shows you this symbol, that you are inside the home directory. And then you have this dollar sign. So this dollar sign here, it shows you the user type. So there are two types of user. First, a normal user, and second, the admin. We understand the word admin. So there are two types of user, the normal user. So here if you see a dollar sign, it means you are a normal user. But if you are a admin, so here you will see hashtag instead of dollar. Okay, so if you see hashtag instead of dollar, it means you are the admin. So currently we have this dollar sign here, which means we are a normal user. So what's the difference between a normal user and an admin? So the admin has more powers, the admin has more control, the admin has more permissions. So a normal user, it is restricted, right? We don't have much power to control the system. So here we are a normal user. So what is the full meaning of this shell prompt? So this shell prompt here shows that the user is this. This is the computer. This symbol means that we are currently inside the home directory and we are working as a normal user. Okay, are we clear with this shell prompt? Okay, very good. So as we move inside the Linux, this shell prompt automatically updates. Okay, we will also see the example of it as well. So first of all, let's understand that what is Linux file system. Okay, first of all, let's understand what is Linux file system, then we will come back here again. Okay, so till now, till this point, we understood that we are inside the terminal, the shell is running, we can type the commands and we can see this shell prompt. Now again, where is this place? Okay, we just understood that this symbol here, it represents the home directory, but where is this place? Where we are actually inside the computer. So when we use Linux, first of all, let's see where we are inside the computer. So here I'm going to open my file explorer. Here I'm going to open Ubuntu, and here can we see this home folder? Can we see that these are all the folders? And here is this home folder. So what are we seeing here? That this sign here, it represents that we are inside the home directory. We can also print it. Okay, we can also print it as well. So let's print it. So I'm writing the command pwd. So pwd commands stands for print working directory, that where we are in the current directory, what is our working directory. Okay, pwd stands for print working directory, and as we already know that we are inside the home directory, so it will just show us exactly that. So let's press enter. So here, can we see that we are inside this home directory, and here is this folder. So if I say directory, if I say folder, we should understand that we are talking about the same thing. Okay, these folders, these are all the directories. So here we are saying that where we are inside the home directory, we are inside this directory. So let's click on it. Now, can we see this folder that inside the home directory, we have this directory. So here, do we understand by this symbol that where we are actually in the system? Where we are actually inside the computer? Do we understand the symbol now? Okay, so here as you can see that there are many folders here, means there are many directories here, and currently we are inside this home directory inside our system here. Okay, so when we use Linux, what do we actually manage? We are using the Linux, we are learning how to use the Linux. So what do we actually manage? What are we actually working with? So we are working with files, we are working with folders, because everything is stored as files inside these folders. So now the question is that how are these files, these folders are organized inside the Linux? Because I didn't make these folders, they were already inside the Linux. So we need to understand that how are these files and folders organized inside the Linux. So let's get back to our notes here. Okay, so understand that Linux, we have a Linux file system, and Linux organizes everything like a tree structure. So here for now we understood the home directory, correct? And inside the system, inside the complete system, we are inside this home directory. So at the very top, there is this symbol which is called root. Okay, this symbol here, it is called root. Here you can see that the symbol root. So a very important point to learn here, that this root, this symbol here which is representing root, this is not a folder inside something. Okay, this is not a folder. This is the starting point of the entire system. So everything starts from this. Okay, everything starts from the root, and everything exists inside this root. Okay, so here when we saw this command, when we wrote this command here, home piggy ubuntu, when we printed this, that where we are actually inside the system, so we are actually inside the root. Can we see this root symbol here? We are actually inside the root, and inside the root we are in the home directory, and inside the home directory we are inside this piggy ubuntu directory. Okay, so we need to understand that this root here, it is not a folder, everything exists inside this root here. Okay, do we have any question till here? Any kind of confusion? If you don't have, only then we will move forward after this root. Okay, so we understood that we are inside the home directory. Now, why we are inside this home directory only? Why are we not inside this USR directory? Why are we not inside this boot directory? So everything is fixed. Sayali, I will answer this question later. Okay. Now, everything is fixed here. So this home directory, all the users, they live here. Okay, if this is your personal workspace, let me open my home directory here. So this is the home directory. This is the Piggy Ubuntu directory. So here, these folders that you are seeing here, this is my personal workspace. So these folders here that you are seeing, I created these folders myself. Just like we create normal folders in the desktop, in the same way I created these folders, but I created these folders writing the commands in Linux. Okay, so the point that we are understanding, that the home directory is the home of all the user. That is why it's named as the home directory. Okay. Now, here you can see one another directory in this example here. Here, can you see this root? Just like we saw this home directory, can you see this root directory? And by directory, we means folder. Now, there is no point in getting confused here. We talked about that there are two kind of users. First of all, the normal user. So the home directory, it is the personal workspace of the normal user. But if you are an admin, so you work in the root directory. Okay, so this root directory here, it belongs to the admin. So let's see, do I have this folder here? Let's see. So here we can see this root directory. Okay, so this is our directory where we will work. We will store all our files, everything inside this directory. We will work only in this directory, and this root directory, it is for the admin. Okay, again, do we understand the difference between a normal and a admin user? So if you want to control the system files, if you want to change something in the system, so that is where you work in the root. Okay, so this root directory, it is not for you. This is your directory and you will work in this directory. Are we clear with this fact? Because if you try to work here without any knowledge, you can do something, you can by accident you can change something in your file system. Okay, so we will not work in this root directory. Are we clear with this fact? Okay, so here you can see, just like we have another directories as well. We have this bin directory, we have this boot directory, we have this etc directory. So in the same way, these directories, they have different things. For example, if we talk about etc directory, so here in this directory, it contains the system settings. If we talk about the bin directory, it contains the important commands. So these directories, they have different work. Okay, so in Linux, we will work in the home directory. Now, so as I showed you that in the home directory, I made the folders myself because this is where that we will be working. So let's learn a new command how you can make the folders yourself. So the command that I'm going to use here is mkdir. Okay, so mkdir stands for make directory. Mk short for make, dir short for directory. Okay, I just showed you here. Let's see it again. So here inside this home directory, we have this directory and we have all these folders, our projects, NGS, Linux. So these are all the folders that I created. So in the same way, we are going to create another folder. And where are we going to see this folder? We are going to see this folder here inside the home directory, inside this Piggy Ubuntu directory. Okay, now let's write the folder name. For example, I want to name my folder test. Okay, my folder name is test. So if you want to create a folder, we will write the command mkdir and we will name the folder name, whatever name that we want. Now let's press enter. So now we can see that the command has been executed. So let's see, do we have this folder here? Let's click on refresh. So here, can we see this test folder that we just created a folder without clicking anywhere? We did not click on new here. We did not click on folder here. We used a command in Linux to create this folder. So this is the difference between GUI and CLI. Okay, now let's go inside this folder. Now if I want to go inside this folder, I can just simply double click on it, just like this. Okay, now if you want to go inside this folder using the terminal, what command you will write? You will write cd, means change directory. Do we understand? Directory means folder. So for now, where are we? We are inside this Piggy Ubuntu directory. Now I want to go inside this test directory. So we will write the command cd, means change directory, and we will write the name of our folder. Again, if I write small t, so we will see an error because this folder name, this folder does not exist. Our folder exists with capital T. So here you have to take a look of very serious that here the Linux is case sensitive and you have to write the file names, the folder names very properly. Okay, now let's press enter. So now can we see that our shell prompt just updated? So as we are moving inside the Linux file system, so here first of all let's see this example here. Here can we see inside this root we are inside the home directory. Inside the home directory we have the pig ubuntu directory and then we made new directory test. So can we say that this is a tree like structure and to move inside this tree we are using commands. Okay, so here we can see that our shell prompt just updated. So test is written here means we are now inside the test directory. Now we understood about this command here ls, that what this command does, it print us all the files, all the folders inside our directory. And currently where are we? We are inside this test directory. We just created it and we know that this folder is empty. So if I write the command ls here, means I want to list all the files that is present inside this folder. So this folder is empty. So what are we going to see in the output? We are going to see nothing. Okay, now let's press enter. So here we can see that we are seeing nothing. Here when we wrote the command ls and when we clicked on enter, we saw all the folders inside my piggy ubuntu directory. Okay, now inside the test folder there is nothing, so that is why the output is empty. So today what we did, we learned about the Linux foundations and we learned about the Linux file system. That the Linux file system is just like a tree and we are constantly moving inside it using these commands like pwd, ls, mkdir, cd, and these are just the ways to understand and navigate this tree. So are we clear with the Linux foundations today? Or do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Paras, can we install R in Linux? Yes, Paras, R can be used in Linux, but first of all, make your command strong in Linux. Okay, make your Linux foundation strong. Only after that, move to different things. Okay. Sayali, we work in home directory. Okay, we do not work in another directories. As we just talked here, that inside this etc directory, what is it? We have the system files. Inside this bin directory, we have all the important commands. So this is the directory that we work in. Okay, so we will be using home directory. Any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any other questions, you may leave the class. Okay, so I will upload the recording, okay, and I will share the recording with you in the group. Okay, in 1 hour you will get the recordings, okay. Okay everyone, thank you for joining. Have a good evening.